have searched me and you love me. I believe in you, and you have opened us. We believe, oh, we believe, yeah. And you have broken the chains. We believe, yes we do. We believe, yeah. We believe. Someone just lift up your hands, lift up your voice as we sing to Him. We're going to tell Him that we believe. We believe in the price that He paid. We believe that He came. We believe that He loves us. We believe that He gave everything for us. Oh, listen. Yes, you have saved. You have heard me. I believe. You have searched every part of me. And you love me. I believe. And you have opened us. We believe. Yes, we believe. Yeah. You have broken the chains.
There is T-Pain around, but just leave T-Pain outside and let's focus on the class for today. I just try and smile. My friends on this side liked. Do you have a problem? Smile a little bit. I know there's a lot to do, but don't worry. Just smile. Yes. Hold on. My brother, your face is strong, as if. All right, now you are smiling. All right. Good morning. All right. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And I hope that between the last lead and now, great things have happened in your life. Okay, good. We'll hear that. As we did say last week, today is a plenary session, and you know the drill. We'll run through the slides for last Sunday. After that, we'll keep the floor open for us to throw in our questions, our contributions, and clarifications, if any. And please, I want to appeal to us that while we're running through the slides of last week, do well to articulate your questions and your contributions, and we'll see how we can take all of them. Even those online, I welcome you specially to today's segment, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. So let's roll. Yeah. So Life Hacks Part 2 was taken by our wonderful brother John Chidi, and he did say a lot, and I must commend him for putting this together. All right, so we still talk about lessons from the life of Esau, and we all know who Esau is. Esau in the Bible. So this slide we have seen before, and this talks about just a brief about Esau's life. That he was the firstborn son of Isaac and Rebekah, was favored by his father. Pre-birth prophecy made him lesser than his younger brother. He preferred consumption to cultivation. Merchandise his birthright for a plate of food. Missed patriarchal blessings due to family politics, ? Had a tendency to announce his plans before maturity, and his marriage choices did not have his parents' blessing. So that's a summary of Esau's life. Next slide, please. So we had a long read, this, and Genesis 33, 1-9. Next slide, please. Next slide. All right. And an overview of this discussion, we tabled it as 1, overcoming disgruntlement, 0, entitlement, know your element, do your assignment, and transact for advancement. So this discussion, the last discussion we had, bordered on the last two, doing your assignment and transacting for advancement. And there's this saying here that the only journey is the journey within. All right, next. Okay, so we have just a few slides, or we had just a few slides last week. And even as we're running through, about just 3 slides that we'll consider. 3 slides, but some very, very punchy notes that we need to consider. And from there, I believe we'll draw inspiration and we can share our questions or contributions. I learned a lot, honestly, but I'll keep mine, for another time. So it says, do your assignments. And that Esau discovered his assignment and developed competencies around him. Powerful. Esau discovered his assignment, the reason why he came to life, and he developed his competencies around him. And from George Maxwell, we have a saying that successful and unsuccessful people do not vary greatly in their abilities. Rather, they vary in their desire to reach their potential. Do we agree with that? Good. And there's a note on that. It says, what you do in life and how you do it is predicated upon why you do it. So the why in your life is greater than the what and the how. Next, it says, whether your masterpiece gets painted and your story gets told is completely up to you. There's a conversation now about Africa that our story has to be told. For some time now, others have been telling our story, talking about the continent of Africa. Foreigners have been telling our story. But now they say that we need to tell our story. And as individuals, you need to tell your story. We need to hear from you. Because if you don't, others will tell your story according to how they see it. Next, it says, when you discover why you are alive, then your life truly begins. When you discover why you are alive, then your life truly begins. And it says, what matters more than what you are willing to live for is what you are willing to die for. In the pursuit of the latter is immortality attained. Wonderful notes. Next slide, please. Transact for advancement. It says, Esau bartered his time, skills, and resources in a profitable manner. In other words, he now learned that based on the time he had lost, he needed to do something differently. And he began to trade his time, his skills and abilities, resources in a profitable manner. He was no longer wasting his time. He was no longer punching the air or scattering his resources. He traded it in a profitable manner. And the Chinese proverb says, be not afraid of growing slowly. Be afraid only of standing still. So just like Martin Luther said, if you can walk, walk. If you can run, run. If you can fly, fly. But whatever you can do, just keep moving. Don't stand still. And I think it's Ron Kenoli that sang one song. What's the Ron Kenoli song? If you catch hell, what? Yes. If you're going through hell, don't stop. There's a note on that. It says, the tomorrow of your dream should drive what? If you can see it, can you read that? The tomorrow of your dream should do what? To drive your decision for today. So don't just live for today. Think about tomorrow. 2 grave mistakes. Settling for what is and allowing reality to limit your imagination. Settling for what is settling for your present condition as final. There's a particular age you get to and you say, what's the use? I'm already 70 or 75 or 80. Why should I still be struggling? What else is there in life? You just settle for what is. Or you say, well, Nigeria don't cast already, so what good can come out? Just settle for it. So it says that's a mistake. Settling for what is and allowing reality to limit your imagination. 2 questions will help you turn everything life throws at you inside out. The first question is, what can I learn from this? And the second one is, what can I do with this? What can I learn from this is a very, very important and powerful question we need to ask ourselves. So anytime you find yourself in despair, anytime you find yourself maybe in the wrong side, you ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Because in any adversity that we face, there must be a lesson to learn from. And the last one, it says, the 6th circle you belong to indicates what you are pregnant with and where you are headed. And John Chidi told us that day that every one of us is pregnant. And we had to look at him with another eye that, what do you actually mean by that? So he had to explain. He's not talking about being pregnant with a child. Talking about having some form of potential inside us. That everyone is pregnant with something, and we should pay attention to that. All right, next slide. Now, it started with statement from Viktor Frankl. This man, if you know his story, he was a Holocaust survivor. In other words, he was one of those that was captured by the German army and imprisoned during the Holocaust period. And he went through a lot. He went through a lot, physical, mental torment. But at the end, he came out alive, he escaped. But not just that, he was able to document his experience and he turned it into several lessons that he wrote about. And one of that is this, one of the most profound. And he said that while he was going through torture, mental torture, physical torture, he discovered that there is a gap between what you feel and how you respond. So in other words, when something touches you, maybe something hurtful touches you, before you respond, that there is a window for you to think about your response, then respond. So we'll call it a second or a microsecond or 10 seconds. He says that there is an allowance. So you don't just have to respond spontaneously and say because you are in a difficult position, you just speak. That there is a gap. So between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom. Powerful. And some overarching truths. First one, it says, anything that will be worth anything in life often happens in the pursuit of purpose and dream. True or false? True or false? Okay. A quick way out of a rough patch is how? Through it. Just keep moving. It's also a great way to develop muscles and strength of character. And he gave us an example of that butterfly that while it was, metamorphosing, while it was growing and maturing into its full state, someone out of pity decided to help that butterfly out of its cocoon. And by helping that butterfly out, unknowingly destroyed that butterfly because it deprived it of the energy that it required to push those wings. Because when the butterfly pushes those wings, there is a fluid that goes through the wings that makes them stronger and able to flap, to fly. But when you help the butterfly to come out, you deprive it of that energy and that push. So those fluids never go through the wings. So doing, that butterfly becomes deformed. And, JC showed us how it applies to life. That there are some people that need to go through what they are going through. They need to go through tough times. Because in going through tough times, they develop their muscles. I was talking with somebody yesterday, one of the senior clergyman, and we were talking about Christians in politics. And he said he has begun to see God in a different angle. That when God says, you will run for president, that it doesn't necessarily mean that you will run and win. But it may mean that you will go through some experiences that you need in life to develop your character. Whether you win or lose is secondary, but that you go through that process is important. So there's some processes that we need to go through. And the longer you deny or delay it, the worse it becomes for you. Because you need to go through some tough times. You need to go through some street experiences to become street smart. So he says, it's also a great way to develop muscles and strengths of character. Actualizing your dreams starts with articulating your preferred future and then optimizing your moments and opportunities. Alter the mindset that brought you to this point. And the last one, it says, adapt the snags to your advantage. That's no matter what you face, adapt it and use it to your own advantage. All right. So the last word from him said, learn from Esau. That if someone who should have ended up a slave, dependent on handouts, could become a phenomenal success, you can. Somebody say, I can. Somebody say, I can and I will. All right. That sounds like a good statement for a political party. I can and I will. An election phrase. All right. So the floor is open now. I believe I have microphones on the left and on the right. I would like to hear from you your thoughts on what we just said so far. Or even if it's from the first one, I'd like to hear your thoughts. If you have questions, you have contributions, something you have learned and you want to share with everyone. So please, I would like to hear from us. Okay, I have one hand here. Thank you. So if you have something to say, just signify. But I would like to say something that whilst we're taking a contribution from someone, if there are questions, we would like to finish those questions before we go to a new contribution. Is that a deal? All right. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, church.
Good morning, ma'am.
I want to start from one of the last statements you made. You said that in life, some people have to go through difficult situations. And I thought about it, and I'm like, honestly, it's not some people. Everybody has to go through that. There is a life battle that is waiting for you to fight and to win before you get into the real you and begin to live life. And this happens when we get into the adult life most of the times. And you find out that this kind of battle, nobody will fight it for you.
Yeah.
And you know that you are in it. And you know that you have to come out of it to become something. And what I find out that some people keep pushing it by looking for somebody who will carry the burden for them and making excuses, blaming others. So I don't know if there's any person here who is in that stage right now. And my counsel to you is just take on it.
Yeah.
Face it head on and say to yourself, I will come out of this. Sometimes it will drag. I mean, dragging for years. And let that not discourage you. Yes, that is one point
Thank you
I
very
want
much.
to make. Then the other point I want to make is, while you were speaking, something that dropped in my mind is, let's not look at life as a burden. If you look at life as a burden, you will always be weak, discouraged, confused. Let us see life as something that has been given to us to do and equally to enjoy. If you begin to see that way, you will see some of the things that will strengthen your heart.
Yeah.
And it's like a game. Honestly, it's like you play it and you are sure you are crossing over. One thing that helped me, one decision I made one time, not like it, I call it a decision, but one understanding that came to me was during my son's graduation, sixth form. So I was attending that. They invited one guy who finished from the school and now into cryptocurrency.
Okay.
And he's made so much money within a short time that he left school. So one statement he made that day while he was opening his statement was, because it was called to address the students, he said that problems are to be solved. So it's not that I have not heard that before, but it made a different meaning to me that day. Let us see this life as problems come, but they have to be solved. That is what we do with problems. We solve them and we move on. And that changed my life.
All right. Thank you very much. A round of applause for that. I mean, I learned a lot from that. Does anybody want to speak to that? You see, there's a question in my heart. You know, sometimes I used to hear one of our senior fathers in the faith asking us to pray that, Lord, let my problems end today. And I used to pray that prayer. But after some time, I started asking him questions that, can all my problems actually end? I don't know. I stand to be corrected. Maybe yes, but I still have, some questions in my head that, can all my problems actually end? So I started praying that, God, give me wisdom to go through. Give me wisdom to go through. Because there are some challenges you have. You pray. Men of God pray for you. It's still there. It's still there. At times you come out of it faster, but the bottom line is that you need to go through some difficult times. So what I started doing is to ask God for the wisdom and the patience to go through certain things. Because if you're already in it, it means that it's already a part in your life, or your life's path, and you must go through. So, but to say you're going to avoid it, or you're going to pray and wake up one day and the problems will just finish, well, I don't know. Till we get to heaven, we'll know whether it's going to happen. Yes, ma'am. Okay, you want to say something? Does anybody have anything to say to this, or a question after? All right. Yes, ma'am.
Praise God.
Hallelujah.
It's about these problems coming to an end. I was listening to a minister of God.
Yeah.
You already know who I'm talking about because I always call her name. So she said something that she took time because she's been studying and teaching the Word of God for about 45 years. So she said that she took time to look at all the prayers Apostle Paul prayed for all the churches that he went and established, the Colossians, the Ephesians, the Philippians, and all of that. That she did not find any prayer that Apostle Paul prayed to say, God bring them out of their problems. That all he prayed was, God, give them grace to go through the problems. And I decided to look at these prayers. Honestly, it is true. Problems can never come to an end. We always run away from problems. We can only go through problems. It is part of life. You see, to have problems in life is promise. But being frustrated by these problems is your choice.
It's your choice. Exactly. Hallelujah. Thank you very much for that. Please, thank you. So to have problems is a promise, but to go through it is your choice.
So for me, thank you for that. It's not too much I want to add. I just want to share a story from secondary school. I had this classmate, and in my college, when you break school rules and the likes, you get a detention, which means you go and do some manual work over the weekend. And if you get a major detention, or I think it's 2 major detention, and is it 2? You're on cleaning squad. So this guy, every week, he was on the board. And this particular week came to an end, and they asked him, Kingsley, that's his name, what's your problem this week? He said, my problem is I don't have a problem. And it can be a problem not to have a problem. Why am I saying that? Life will lose excitement to you. And that's why you see people, they begin to do drugs and do all kinds of things. They're trying to create excitement that you have on a normal basis, just paying your bills. That's excitement that keeps life going. And if you're going to make money on earth, remember, it is your capacity to solve problems. If you are running away from problem, you are running towards poverty. The choice is your own. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I have a hand here from Victor. Brother Victor.
Amen. Good morning, church.
Morning.
Just my own experience. It's also a testimony. I remember several years ago, I was in an organization where the condition of the work was not pleasant. So I was praying, crying. Sometimes when we come back home, when we come back from time off, because of the distance, we barely spend 3 days at home. And you're running back again. So praying then, crying to God. It was when, by his mercies, I got to another organization. I realized that God was taking me through a process. Now, one thing I learned was to understand people who are going through that process. Where I am today, by the grace of God, I would advocate for some persons. When their organization said, give them 1 week, I can say, no, 1 week cannot. That's one. Secondly, in solving problems, I learned from my previous place. I learned some things that are helping me now. So just to cap it all with this scripture, James 1:3. I read 1 verse 2. I read from Message Translation. He said, consider it a sheer gift, friends, when tests and challenges come at you, knowing that the trying of your faith works patient, but let it have a perfect work in you.
Yeah.
That at the end of the day, when God is through with you in that process, it brings out beauty in you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. Okay, I just want to ask a question. For those of us that have gone through tertiary institutions, university, or maybe polytechnic, can you remember when your biggest problem was how you would graduate or how you will do your projects? Can you think back? How did you feel? Your heart was pounding. Okay. What about if you ever pass JAMB? Like people like me that did JAMB like 3 times. At one time, my greatest problem was, will I ever sit for and pass JAMB? What about when you are preparing for your wedding? For those of you that are married, will that day ever come? Will you ever be able to gather money and have a successful wedding? How many people thought like that? But now maybe you have like 3 or 4 children. So problems are in grades. There's a time in your life when the thing that annoys you most, like me one time, we were closing from school. primary school, Christmas period, and the driver was taking us home. And I was so angry because we saw toys, beautiful toys, being, displayed on some shops going home. And I was just angry that, why can't this whoever think of stopping and just buying this toy or that toy for me? Why are these people so wicked? Now the driver is taking us home. He's passing all these shops as if he's not seeing it. That was my greatest annoyance, my parents, that they could not just stop and buy one of these toys for me then. This is how many years after. So problems are in grades, and they keep coming. When you finish one, another one will come. You finish one, another one will come. So people's problem now is how to buy an airplane of $80 million. How many of us are thinking about that? Sir? Not yet. So problems are in grades. And in Nigeria, they say, Wahala be like bicycle. It doesn't end. You finish with boo-boo, you enter T-pain. If you say T-pain is too bad, another one is coming for you. No, eh? All right, so we need to pray. Okay, so any questions or contributions? Okay, ma. Please bring the microphone quickly so that lunch is assured for some of us.
Good morning, church. Okay, I just saw this. Life will throw two questions at you. What can I learn from this?
Okay.
And what can I do with this? I have a senior friend way back, over 20 years. Anytime I just run to him and talk to him and say, this is what I'm going to do, if you just keep quiet, I'm looking at me. So are you done? I'll say yes. He said, okay, what have you learned from it? I'm like, I don't get you. I thought maybe you just give me. So he said, no, let's know what you have learned from it and what you are going to do with this information. I had an issue with my school back then, and for 5 years I was pursuing to get my transcript. And all of a sudden, I noticed that depression was setting in. And I just remembered those phrases, those questions he used to ask me that, what can you learn? Okay, what if this persists till forever? Are you going to just sit down and be wallowing and be sad over nothing? And I decided, I made up my mind that by the time I get married, I'll have my children, I'll just be doing something to keep so that my children can develop and be able to stand on their own, then I'll go back to school. I was just like talking to myself and getting angry. That was what I was doing there. So by the time those questions came back, I said, I need to do something about career and my moving forward. And I took a step. The first thing I did, I said, okay, I need to take a chance concerning a particular exam, international, that people go for, and they say they write it like more than twice. I said, okay, I want to check if my brain is still alive or is dead, since I've been out of school for over 20 years. And I sat for that exam. In fact, the way I prepared for the exam was for a Saturday. On Thursday, I read throughout from Thursday to Friday. And by Saturday, I just entered and I went to write the exam. The last stage of the exam, we're supposed to speak. And they were asking me questions. I was like, I don't understand this question about questions on climate change. I said, I don't know anything about climate change. I just see they say it. I said, just ask me a question about cooking jollof rice or making moi moi or washing beans. And they started laughing. And I started talking and talking and talking. That was the highest mark I got in that exam. What am I trying to say? I took that challenge up and I said, what am I going to do with this? And I decided to enroll for that exam, even if I didn't have anything to do with it. And I passed that exam in one sitting. I got the score. So I was like, okay, this is the exam that everybody have been doing, like they'll do 3 times, 4 times. And I just sat for it carelessly and I passed. And it encouraged me. I said, so you're not dull. You're not written off. And I encouraged myself. So what am I trying to say? That sometimes you pass through, like Esau, but sometimes you pass through some challenges. You may not even find help around. The help might just be you. The help might just be within you. Yeah. So you have to look inside and get that help out. And that was what Esau did. He did not have any blessing left. So he had to work to get blessed. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that contribution. I like that you are not dull, you are smart, and you also have a very good husband. Okay, very important. Okay, so I want to ask a question, from one of the slides here. It says 2 grave mistakes: settling for what is and allowing reality to limit your imagination. Can reality actually limit our imagination? Can reality, your current reality, can it actually limit your imagination? I want somebody to speak to this. Okay, yes, sir. Can your current reality limit your imagination?
Praise the Lord. I'll say yes, and it depends on whether you have settled for what is. Right? A lot of people make permanent decisions on the back of temporary experiences. Everything you are going through is temporary. I don't care what it is. It's not yet the end. I'll use a personal example. So growing up, I saw my dad, at least looking a picture of a potential success. At the age of about 8, thereabout is 8, 9, the house he was living in, which was given to him by the organization he worked for, had a private pool. That was the kind of dad I saw. And by the time I was 11, I saw the same man driving Kabu Kabu. And so that's what life can be like. It was such a shock to all of us, and it was easy to conclude this is how life is.
Going to be.
But you see, I can tell you for free, what kept my sanity in those years of early teens all the way to my late teens and even into my 20s was the books I read. I just ran away from the world and I ran into books. So if you see me on the streets, I'm looking for a book to borrow. Once I get it, I disappear. If I come out it's in the evening, maybe young boys are playing soccer, I just come out and stand. My eyes are a bit dull because I've been lying on the bed all day reading. But in those books, I found succor. I read stories about people whose life turned upside down and how with sheer determination they came out. And I picked a personal mantra. When you are in the gutter, never accept you are in the gutter. But when you come out of the gutter, tell people I came from the gutter. It's already a past tense. That was my mantra. And that shaped a lot of things for me. So I was not looking at where I was. Where I was a mess. What I saw was possibilities. I recall one of those days sitting outside the house. Who has lived in a house without louvers before? I've been there. No louvers, my mom's wrappers on the windows like curtains. That was where I was living. Sitting outside, I saw a 190 drive past. That was when Mercedes-Benz 190 just came out. As the thing drove past, I ran out and stood. I just saw the rear lights. And I said I would drive that car. And I went back in. She's here. I drove that car. Don't ever let where you are be your final bus stop. You are there to pick the next bus to your destination. Is it possible?
Yeah.
Yes. Keep your dream alive. That's what matters. It's not enough to keep your dream alive because no matter how big your dream is, you must come to the point where you stop the need is good grades in the university. If you come out, you will turn it around. So I went to work with little or nothing, came out with good grades, and kept chasing the dream. And I think I chased it by the help of God. I got to a point where I found comfort. If God can bring me from there to here, it doesn't matter where you're starting from. Your future is still bright. Your story has not been told. Whatever you're experiencing is a temporary experience. And when you are done with it, you will look back and understand why you walked the road you walked. I can stand here as your pastor today and relate to you because of where I'm coming from. I'm not coming from a place of everything was comfortable. I was in university as a 17-year-old boy, 18-year-old boy, when I vowed. Somebody did something to me and I vowed, in my life, I will answer people's questions. And anywhere I see a child who wants to go to school and cannot go, I will answer that question. God has helped me answer a few, and we're still answering. And so you can keep your dream alive and chase it. and apprehend it. Praise the name of the Lord.
Hallelujah. Awesome, awesome, powerful. Yes. So the question is still on. Yes. Thank you very much for that personal contribution. Yes. So we're talking about allowing your reality to limit your imagination. I want to hear any takers. PK has said his own. You know, there are times where you go through some difficult times and it looks as if it will always remain like this. I don't know how many of you have been there. As if it's not going to stop. And you'll be wondering, can it actually get better? You know? I can remember some experiences we had when we just got married. There was a television we had. I inherited that television. My wife and I will be watching television, we're watching movies. And all of a sudden, the screen will just go like this. Or the screen will just go to one side. We'll just bend our head and look at it. I said, what do we do? Just don't worry, just go to the TV and hit it like this. Like, tap his back, but it will go wide again. The TV was so bad, one time we took it to the repairer. The repairer was a friend, so he was finding it hard to say the truth. He said, sir, if I repair it this time, if it goes bad again. He ended it there. It went bad. I brought it to him. He said, okay, sir, you know what we'll do? While I'm repairing it, take this one to your house. Take this one to your house. I mean, there are some situations you go through in life, you'll be wondering, will it ever get better? I don't know how many of you have ever been there before, you know, but what we are hearing is that don't allow your reality, you know, affect your dreams. Don't allow it to affect your dreams, because you can think that this is how it will always be. I will always be like this. But if, just like PK said, if you trust God and if you do the work, you know, things can actually change. So I want somebody to speak to this, you know. Yes, sir. I have hands here. Okay, ma, let's just allow elder sister, they will come to you.
Good morning, church.
Good morning.
I just want to answer the question as directly as possible. You said, can the reality limit your vision?
Yes.
I want to say yes. But I also want to say, like the quote you made before, if you cannot fly, run.
Yeah.
You cannot run,
walk.
Because why I'm saying yes, because there are things you, as a child, you dream. I want to be, I know in those days,
an astronaut.
No,
I want to be an astronaut. I still want to be an astronaut.
Okay. You can always fly beneath people. So that's the thing. The reality is, with the limitations in our environment, you may not be an astronaut. But there are things you can still do that looks like your initial vision. So don't limit yourself. If you cannot fly, run. But don't allow the limitations of it to stand still.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elder. Yes, let's hear from our sister. Thank you. Let's put our hands together for that. Our sister, she has something to say.
Good morning, church.
Good morning.
Allowing what you're passing through at the moment to limit you to see something is just you, you know, just like Pastor just said, like making the permanent decision when you're going through a temporal. My life from small has actually been very difficult. You will come to a place where you will be like, I can't do this anymore. But I always have this thing like, what do you tell the agent of discouragement today? And I'll look at the mirror and tell myself, not today. Whatever I'm going through, I'll be like, please give up today. I'll be like, not today. I don't know when that day has never come. From someone who was like a very good student, you come to 400 level, you see that from nowhere, you just see a lot of failures. That doesn't look like, you know, you are coming out of this thing anytime soon. Then that happened. You move from a very strong 2-1 to a third class. And, you know, you were still like, let me just give up. This is shameful. Then something will be like, well, there are other people who did not even go to school and turned out very well. So you too, with any class of degree this school gives you, just go out there. Something is always there telling you that. Then that's a part. That's that pass. You go out with that third class. Then you're not seeing things like only 2-1 can apply. Then I'll be like, well, I will apply.
all I just need is just for them to see me.
Yeah.
Let's talk. And most times when we talk and I present my result, excuse me, ma'am, is this your result? Yes, it is. Sir, would you want to work with me? Just give me a trial. And that has actually been helping me. So it's just like you daydreaming. Then when I said my life is full of difficulty, but right now, when I say anything now, I wink. I remember the battles I've fought in the past. I remember the things that I've actually gone through. I'll be like, it's one of those things. Here we are, let's push it. When Pastor said that, he ran to book. I also ran to book. And I also ran to I daydream a lot.
Yeah.
I'm trekking to this church today, but this morning while we're coming, we're having some issues. And I told my daughter, don't worry, very soon I think we'll be driving to this church.
Down, yes.
You understand? So
exactly.
I daydream into the future and all of that. Then Anna came again, got married. It was not even up to 2 years. Everything went down. Life was anything. There was a time I've written my suicide notes, and my daughter just woke up and be like, as in, from her sleep, she held me very tight. And I'm like, oh, so imagine if I leave, who will she hold? Then I'll be like, okay, fine. There are so many divorced women out there that are shaking the world.
Yeah.
You can actually be part of it.
Yeah.
And again, I ran to book. I read Joanna Bynum, No More Shit.
Yeah.
That lady actually,
went through.
She went through a lot. So I'll be like, okay, fine. Then maybe I might be another Joanita. I daydream a lot. So when you just in a certain situation and you be like, oh, it's enough. You just end yourself like that. When you don't even know, okay, I have heard a lot of no's, but I still keep on because I don't know the yes.
Yes, that you hear.
That I will hear. Just because of my fear of hearing no's. So do not limit yourself it's not over yet until you win. That is just it.
Wonderful. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. That's so encouraging. Yeah. Because I know that there are people here that have had some very, very tough experiences. Probably you don't want to share it, but, this is a forum for you to talk because you don't know how you will encourage the other person by what you say. The things that we take for granted about our lives, some people, if they hear it, they will be strengthened because some people have not gone through half of what some of us have gone through. They're about giving up. If they can hear your story, then they will understand. Have you ever talked to somebody that's been kidnapped before? A kidnapped victim. There's a guy I talked to, a colleague that was kidnapped. And I asked him, I said, while you were in captivity, did you ever think of coming out? He said, every day was like the last day for him. Every day was like the last day for him. You've not been kidnapped before. Maybe your case is that you used to drink cornflakes, now you're drinking Gary and you're depressed. All right, Ismail, let's hear from you.
Praise God.
Yes.
I don't have a story to share right away, but I want to talk about us finding solution.
Yes, sir.
And I want to refer to the stories that have been shared. Sister Mo, Pastor, and she also. I'm sorry, I don't know your name now. Okay, so what I want to say is, whatever you are going through, find a way to detach yourself from that reality.
Exactly. Thank you.
You must find a way to do it. Sister Mo shared how she did hers. Pastor said, I run to books.
Sorry, how she did hers with the help of her husband.
With the help of her husband.
Yes, she didn't add that part. So continue.
Okay, thank you for completing it.
Her only husband.
So there's something we hear always. And that thing is, the solution you're looking for is inside you.
Okay. Yeah.
That is a true statement. If you keep running outside to find the solution, you will never find what will answer your life questions. And a problem created, maybe level 1,
yes,
cannot be solved on that level.
Thank you.
You must find a way to elevate
Higher
yourself
wisdom. Thank you,
higher. And most times, people run to books. Some people step aside and look at your destiny according to how God defined you.
Thank you.
And if you view it from there, your solution begins to come. It works. I will share my story maybe one day.
Not
it
today.
Works, not today.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Let's put hands together for that. Okay, we'll come to Jason. See, what you've said, I think you've talked about like 3 books combined. It's spoken volumes. The problems that you face today, you can't solve it with the same knowledge you had when you created it. Your knowledge must increase to be able to solve that problem. And that's why a lot of us are still on the same level, because you are using that same knowledge that you had when the problem was created to try and solve it. And most likely it's not going to happen. And let me just tell you something that we don't know about God. There are times when you beg God to help you, and it's as if God is not answering. At times, God is telling you that He Himself, how they say, Him, is waiting for you to solve it. So you are waiting for Him to intervene. He's waiting for you to solve it with what He has given to you. At times, your problem is just to walk up to this person and say, I have this problem. How can you help him? A problem is solved. But when you keep thinking and thinking and thinking and cracking your head and thinking, that problem may remain there for decades. So thank you very much for your contribution. Let's hear from.
Okay, good morning, everyone.
Hello.
The question is, where is the line between not letting your reality limit your imaginations and living in denial?
Living in denial, thank you. That's a very intelligent question. So how can we draw the line? Not allowing your reality to limit you and living in denial. Living in denial is that you have this problem, but you are denying it. I don't know, this problem does not exist, but it's still there. So he's asking, how do you draw the line between both of them?
Yeah, living in denial can be a very quick escape from reality. If you look at our country today, you find out that the drug problem is a menace. And if you go look at it more deeply, you will realize that many young people are running away from reality. That's the truth. And they seem to want to find succor in drugs. Beloved, no matter how much you deny, when you wake up in the morning, that situation is still staring you in the face. And so, Elizabeth said, I dream a lot. And dreams actually are a source and a fuel for motivation, right? So you acknowledge there is a problem. The question is, how do I solve it? And you must also tell yourself honest truths. There are problems you can't solve in one day. And so you know this is for a long haul. Whilst you are dreaming, you brace up for the journey. And also, denying it makes the problem more painful, to be honest. If you acknowledge, okay, I'm in a situation, I have passed my exams, and I don't find a sponsor to support me through this study, as a simple example. Is that a problem? Oshoke did say problems are at different levels. This is my problem. How do I go about it? Option 1, I can steal. Right? But if they catch me, it's tie around my neck. Cancel option 1. Option 2, I can kidnap. Option 3, I can work part-time. Option 4, I can look for a loan. Option 5, I can look for a mentor. We can go on. And so we talked about problem solving. The first thing is acknowledge there is a problem. 1. Then what are my options to deal with this problem? And then which is the best out of all my options? Then go to work with it. You may set a timeline of 5 years. You may arrive in 7 years. Did you arrive? That's what matters the most, that you arrived. And one thing you must recognize, and speaking to everybody, we are all human beings, but we are not all going through the same thing. And that is why you can't afford to allow another person's experience dictate your pace. Usain Bolt is on the field, is warming up to go. Mo Farah is on that same field, warming up to go. What is it? Gabriel Salesi, that Ethiopian guy, is also warming up to go. Usain Bolt is doing 100 meters. Mo Farah is doing 10,000 meters. Gabriel Salasa, that's not his name, that Ethiopian, huh? Gabriel Salasa. He's warming up to go 54 kilometers. But they're all warming up. Then Salasa now sees them cheering Usain Bolt after 9 seconds. And he wants to finish his 54 kilometers. And that's him, no, it's not possible. And that's why you must accept your journey is your journey. Mo said something very deep. The solution is within. So don't look at him to run your race. Keep your dream alive. Keep pursuing it. If you don't take your eyes off it, I guarantee you will get there if you have the right disciplines and you have the right motivation. And if anything else, being on the ground should be motivation to stand up. If nothing else. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And let me just quickly add, because like when you see somebody like as PK was standing here, and you say, I like this man, I like the way he speaks, I like his countenance. Remember that this is several years of work putting together. Like he said, this is not how he started. I tell you, Pastor Nkechi has put in sleepless nights of work into what you are seeing. So he didn't just start like that. So like for somebody now that is married to a husband that is not behaving like that, say, I want my husband to be like this PK. It's not going to happen overnight. So you put in a lot of work. And I like that bit about accepting reality. Let me give you a personal story. When I was in the university, just like PK said, I grew up seeing some level of comfort. There was a time when things crashed and dipped. And I was in the university that time. On a particular day, I was coming home in a taxi. And I was with this beautiful girl, and I was already toasting her in the car. And she was asking, where do you live? We were on my street. I said, my house is just down the road. She said, okay, I would like to see your house. Because as we were going close to the house, because things have gone so bad, my mom has we had a lot of fruit trees. She started plucking those fruits and selling some. And she would put in front of the house to sell. Behold, as we were coming to my house, I saw my mom in front of the house with fruits, coconut, pawpaws, and everything. And you said, is your house around there? I said, no, my house is not around here. My house is further down. You just take a bit. I denied that was my mom and that was my house because of gay. But later, I had to accept reality that was our reality. So I had to join her to sell it, to make money, to feed. You know what I'm saying? So there is a time where we need to accept reality, just like Esau. He knew that he was at a disadvantage, but there was something he had to do, and there's something that JC said that I wrote down last Sunday. He said there is always a window of opportunity, something that you can still do to turn around your situation. At times it may just be discipline. At times it may be to accept reality or both of them. But there is definitely a way to turn your story around. And lastly, your thought process also matters. Because in your thoughts, in your dreams, you need to see yourself as where you are going to. And that is one thing that can actually help you. Thank you very much. So do you have any contributions or any questions before we round up? We'll be talking about a very important topic, the life of Esau, life hacks. We said quite a lot of things. Does anybody have anything to add or any question before we round up? We're talking about allowing your reality to limit your imagination. Okay. I will round up by saying that if we're in this part of the world, particularly in Nigeria as it is right now, there is every tendency that what is going on around, what is happening to us, can make some of us just hold up our hands and say, nothing will ever change. In terms of leadership, politics, we've seen one bad leader to another bad leader to another bad leader. And when we see the crop of people that are warming up to take over, it's enough to create despair. Am I right? But you see, after this one, who next is going to come? From which party? Is it APC or is it PDP or where? You know? Even the people you think they are good, at times when they go there, they even disappoint. And you say, who is actually good? Even you yourself, you know that even if you go there, you don't even trust yourself that you will even do better. So you say, how are we going to move on as a country? Will things ever get better? And you trickle it comes down to yourself, and you look at your circumstances, and you try your best possible And it's as if your best efforts are not good enough. Things are not changing. And you begin to ask yourself, will things ever change? All you need to do is to look at this story of Esau. If Esau could transform his life in his lifetime to the extent where his brother that had the promise had to bow before him and say, I am seeking your favor and I've come to give you this. And Esau said, keep what you have. I have enough. If it can happen to Esau in your lifetime, it can actually happen to you. Let me say it again. If it could happen to Esau, that his life could actually turn around for the better, in your lifetime, it can actually happen to you. So I want you to beat your chest and say, it can happen to me. If it could happen to Esau,